The fruit of the Spirit, however, is the fruit of the Spirit. It isn't exactly what you can work harder at. Is that what you're going to say, Peggy?
It's sort of.
Yeah, what do you want to say?
It's when the fruit of the Spirit comes from the Spirit. If we're submitting to the Spirit, then that fruit of the Spirit flows through us. If we are submitting to sin, then the sin quenches
The Spirit.
the Spirit. And that's where we forget that we are sinners saved by grace. We forget to use that grace, accept that grace for ourselves, and give that grace to others. We let pride and selfishness get in the way.
Right.
That we belong. And then the fruit of the Spirit is flowing.
There is an ongoing sinfulness in those who have been redeemed, bought back by Jesus from sin and death. And that's just part of the tragedy of human life, including in the church. Including in the church. And one of the tragedies is that Jesus prayed that we would be one. But it's really hard for us to be one. We are a fractious people. We divide. That's what happened in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve ate the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It's God's job to know what gives life and what wrecks it in God's world. But Adam and Eve ate from it, and what happened to all of the relationships? Now, you can talk about what happened legally and in terms of sin and the just punishment of death for sin. You can talk about that, but you can also simply talk about it relationally. What happened to all of the relationships when they decided that they would be in charge of everything? What happened to their relationship with God? It was damaged. They went and hid from God before God came looking. Before God had ever said, "What? You did what?" They hid from God. And what happens to their relationship? It's fractured. How can you tell? The woman you gave me. Adam, as Mark likes to say, Pastor Mark likes to say, Adam throws Eve under the bus. God says, "What have you done?" He says, "She did it." You know, right? And by the way, he blames God. The woman you gave me.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. It's your fault and her fault. Well, wow. Gonna be a lonely night. Gonna be a lonely forever. His relationship with God is wrecked. His relationship with his wife is wrecked. And she's not having it, but she's not taking the blame either, because who made her do it? The snake. Right. And all of creation crashes. The ground is cursed because of them, God says. So, relationships crash in human sinfulness. That's the way it works. So Jesus prays that we'll be one. Now in the prayer, if you look down below, there's a little outline here. In John's Gospel, in fine Eastern fashion, as opposed to more linear reasoning from the Greco-Roman into things, which Paul is more like, but we get this lovely kind of thing in John that's both Eastern and Semitic, Hebrew. And in the prayer, and it feels like sometimes, John, you just said that, and now you're saying it again. Would you get on with it? And John's answer is, no. I'm not in a rush. And if it was worth turning over once, it's worth turning over again. And there's this lovely symmetry between, here I've said it, a little bit of stuff here, and then down here I've said it again. And it's kind of a dwelling in the word instead of right through it. Most hymnody in the church that's traditional is in the Greco-Roman tradition. 4 verses that don't repeat. Now, in some, you get 4 verses in a chorus that repeats every time, so it'll help you think about every verse. But most hymns are linear. They build, they work, they have a beginning, a middle, and an end. One of the things that some people don't like about the chorus we sing in contemporary music is that they repeat. you know? And one of the charming debates that Christians sometimes have is how many repeats are enough. Some people say, the more we repeat them, the closer I feel to Jesus. And other people say, I can't take that. It's boring. Without getting into that, it's more like John to say something and then say it again so we can kind of dwell in it. By the way, one of the reasons that Catholics, Christians, and other Christians repeat prayers is to get their brains occupied and busy so they are not in the stinking way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now, if that doesn't make sense to you, it's okay. I'm not asking you to rush out and buy a rosary. But you get good at the rosary. And you know its rhythm. You have your brain busy. And now your heart and your spirit aren't cluttered up with your thinking. Because our thinking is part of our sinfulness. Now my heart and my spirit are also sinful. But that's one of the reasons Catholics do the rosary, by the way. Okay. And by the way, for those of us who are quite spiritual about our repetition of our singing, the same thing is going on. The same thing for the few of you who know what Taizé music is, the same thing is going on. You repeat it, it keeps your mind busy, and it makes your spirit and your heart available to the Spirit. Because it doesn't have to fight its way through your rational thought so badly. Okay, so John is kind of like that. John had, one of the ways we know that John composed this on purpose this way, or that Jesus prayed it on purpose this way, is how carefully organized it is grammatically. The Greek words are hina, kathos, hina, 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 kathos, hina, hina. The opening lines. Now maybe Jesus organized his prayer this way and prayed this way a lot. But it is a very beautiful way of praying. So hina is that, or so that, and kathos is just as, or like. So Jesus prays that they may all be one. Look down below, that they may be one. Kathos, just as you, Father, are in me and I in you. Down below, just as we are one, I and them and you and me. Hina, that they may be in us, be one in us is the implication, that they may be brought to completion as one. Hina, so that the world may believe that you sent me, so that the world may come to know that you sent me. Notice how parallel they are. It is not accidental. It's intentional. Either Jesus organized the prayer intentionally that way, or John remembered Jesus' prayer and then organized it around those words. And it doesn't matter to me which one you think is the case. It would be just like Jesus, who to organize things very carefully. This is an Aramaic, a Jewish way of praying. To organize your thoughts this way in a verbal culture as opposed to a written culture. Okay? So, in any event, and if you notice, there's just a little bit of parallel development of the thoughts, just slightly different. It's kind of looking at the other side of the same coin. You know, it's the same coin, you're just a little bit different. You know, that they, so, anyway. Will you do this, please? Take about 5 minutes to reflect on the passage. Circle words that seem central to you, and then jot down some reflections about them, and then get on to reflecting for what unites Christians or makes them one according to the passage. And what is the purpose of Christian unity? What outcomes do the Father pray for? So I'm not giving you very much time. About 5 or 6 minutes. We'll see if you're all still lost, you know, in slaving away. I'll give you more time. But please take 5 or 6 minutes. First, circle some words that seem key to you. Reflect on the words. And then answer the 2 questions below as best you can. Ready, set, go.